A very good morning. Happy Monday Night Football Day to those who celebrate. We're through almost 1 week of the NFL season. Very exciting stuff. The chat is already buzzing. I see Chris Kish, Ryan Dietrich, Brian Thompson, Achilles, Jen is in here. Let's see how we did on the recap screen before we bring in an absolutely star-studded cast. I go 1-2. Not great. I end up hitting the teaser from earlier in the week. I want to give Mike McClure a shout out for hitting his plus 150 in tennis. Larry hits his Jaguars money line. We had PropStarz hit Sam Laporta's over. And I mentioned those guys because, well, ladies and gentlemen, we go 10-11 overall. It's not great. Had some plus money in there for sure. But those three names I just mentioned, plus Matt Snyder, the Sniper, how about we bring them into the Monday night show? We're not just talking Monday Night Football. We're going to talk a little MLB. We're going to talk a very little bit of golf, a little announcement to make there relating to the Pro Core Championship. Sniper, we got to start with you. You're the MLB guy, but you're wearing the Bears shirt. How you feeling today?
I'm great. I'm excited. I'm excited for the start of the new season. Hey, there's always hope at the start of a season. So this is like, I think back to baseball opening day. I always tell every fans of every team, like, hey, if you think your team's going to win the World Series this year, go ahead and do it. Screw everybody who doesn't agree with you. So that's how I feel today in terms of the Bears starting their season.
Well, I'll tell you what, a little preview of what's to come on the show. There's some Bears love on this show. So, I mean, you're going to see that soon. We got a lot of picks on this game. And I will tell you, if you have a pick you want us to consider, throw it in the chat and we will answer any Monday Night Football, certainly baseball questions as well, but any Monday Night Football questions you have. If you have a question about a prop or really anything, just make sure you put the price in the exact number so we can properly evaluate. Larry, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I think John in the chat said it best when he said week one did not disappoint. I mean, The Ravens blowing a 15-point lead in the last few minutes, or Josh Allen playing hero. Incredible win for them. I mean, did you expect Daniel Jones to play a near perfect game? Did you expect the Jets and Steelers to combine for 60-plus points? Just a crazy week one. I do want to shout out my boss, RJ White, who had an unbelievable Sunday on the site and in the Discord. He is the man, and he just did what he did. I think he went like 12-2, and that included Zach Charbonnet touchdown at nearly 4-1.
That's really impressive. PropStarz, real quick thoughts on that game yesterday, Ravens-Bills, because Larry and I and Mike and Joe in the chat, we're in a Circa Millions contest. Ravens was one of my picks. I hit my other pick, but I was so disappointed. So my question for you, PropStarz, is, was that a Josh Allen just going out and winning games, or was that a Ravens collapse? Because I don't think it can be 50-50. Where do you side on this one?
It felt like a little combination of both. Granted, it's week one, but very impressive resolve from the Bills. I thought the game was over heading into the fourth quarter, blowing a 15-point lead at two different times. Just kudos to the Bills. I thought the Ravens defense obviously let up at times here. So, just a really impressive performance by Buffalo. And it just seems that Baltimore in these high leverage situations seems to struggle a little bit. But granted, it is week one, so good not to overreact.
All right. Jay Met says M squared called Daniel Jones. I will tell you, I was also, Mike, I know you were an advocate of him, not just in general, but also on our Fantasy Football Today DFS show. I was saying on HQ a few weeks ago, even before the Anthony Richardson decision had been made, that I like this Colts team better with Daniel Jones at quarterback. And it's certainly through week one, at least, seems like the play. Mike, you mentioned that Daniel Jones definitely helped your fantasy team. You were one of a very few people that was super vocal about liking some of these sort of bottom tier quarterbacks like Daniel Jones. I know you have a Bears pick to give out, so I'm going to let you have the floor now. But we did have a nice little Fantasy Football Today sort of first show. I thought we had a lot of good calls. I did really well in the afternoon slate. So make sure you're dialed into Fantasy Football Today DFS. But Mike, talk to me about your DFS day and talk to me about the Bears plus 1.5.
Not a super great DFS day for me, but Daniel Jones basically salvaged everything there. So very happy to see that, getting the rushing touchdowns like we kind of thought might happen around the goal line. As far as tonight, though, give me the Bears. I played the Bears +2, -112, would still play it down to +1.5, and would consider on the money line if you get to a situation where you're paying +1. When I look at this Bears team, though, I expect some big things here. I think the addition of Ben Johnson Addison really cannot be overstated. If you watch the Lions yesterday, that team was completely lost, in my opinion, at a lot of times. I love the way that he prepares a team, though. I think that he's going to have Caleb Williams and company ready to go offensively in this game. Now, it pains me because I'm a huge JJ McCarthy fan. Backed him a ton at Michigan. Like him, I think he's going to be a good quarterback in this league. And he's not a true rookie. He spent a lot of time in the system mentally preparing, going through those processes. But to make your true NFL debut in prime time on the road against a team that is certainly going to be fired up, that is going to be a little bit of a problem here for me. The fact that he's also going to be without Jordan Addison, that puts a lot of pressure on Justin Jefferson, who is the best receiver in the NFL. The fact is, this Bears team, though, they were good defensively down the stretch last season. I think that Caleb Williams takes a big step forward individually, but I also love the skill position players here. I think they are sneaky deep in terms of skill position, whether it be the backfield, the receiving core, even the tight ends. I think that they've got the ability to move the ball. I think it's going to be a really sizable home field advantage in division here. I thought they should have been a slight home favorite. The fact that we're catching +2, kind of implying that on a neutral site that the Vikings are a full 4 points better or more, that number was off to me. I would not make the Vikings a full 4 better in a league that we typically see spreads of 3, for example. So for me, Bears were an auto play at +2.
All right, we got the Bears +2. And Mike, you would play this also at Bears +1.5, because I know it has, since you put the play out, and this usually happens, it moves a little bit. +1.5, okay with you?
Yeah, +1.5 is okay with me. Honestly, in situations like this, if you want and look for a little better payout as well, I don't mind -3.5s on an alt line. Typically expect that margin to still be a 1-score game, but would lean there at -3.5 on an alt line for the Bears as well.
We're very early in the show, and we already have 150 people who have voted for their their best bet tonight, I should say. So if you're listening to the podcast, just know that the options are Vikings -1.5, Bears +1.5, over 43.5, under 43.5. The leaders so far through the first 10 minutes of the show are the Bears +1.5, with the Vikings trailing behind that, but significantly trailing. Bears +1.5, 45%. Larry, can I ask you something? I know you had a follow-up comment, but before you get there, talk to me about, because one thing, and this plays into my bet later on in the show, I agree with Mike and how the Lions looked lost without Ben Johnson and how Caleb will probably look somewhat found. But in week 1, do you think Caleb's going to how much of that Ben Johnson style and Ben Johnson playbook is he going to have? Like, do you think it's going to be at least somewhat limited in terms of, hey, it's week 1 with Ben Johnson?
I think we're going to see some noticeable improvement, the ball coming out faster. Ben Johnson faced Brian Flores 4 times. Now, he did have the Lions offense with him, but he averaged over 30 points and he scored over 30 in every game. They won all 4 matchups. And if you look back at last season, one of Caleb Williams' best games came against the Vikings. In fact, he finished, I believe, with 500 and something yards in the 2 games without a pick. So he did play well, even with the pressure. And so now with a better O-line, better weapons, better coaching, definitely have good expectations for tonight.
And Larry, what was your follow-up comment that you had?
That was it.
Oh, okay.
That was it.
Okay, so let's go to our next pick then. We've got a lot of picks to cover, and PropStarz, we're going to go to you. We saw the recap screen. You hit Sam Laporta over. I know we had that on the prop show that we do every Friday at 1 o'clock on CBS Sports Network, which, by the way, is put on YouTube very soon thereafter. So everybody make a note of that on the SportsLine YouTube channel, some of these network shows, a lot of them just get put on the YouTube channel pretty much right away. But we're going back to the tight end position tonight for Monday Night Football.
Indeed, we are, Sia. Yeah, so I'm going to back TJ Hawkinson over just 41.5 receiving yards. I was puzzled at this line for a variety of reasons. First and foremost, his reception line is 4.5. His longest reception line is 17.5. Typically, that results in a line between 45.5 and 51.5 for a tight end, specifically one of the caliber of TJ Hawkinson. So we're getting a pretty sizable discount here on this yardage line that is depressed, in my opinion. Coming off of last year, it was a disappointing campaign for TJ Hawkinson. In the 2023 season, set career highs across the board, got the contract extension, had high expectations coming into last year, then dealt with a variety of injuries. And then when he was on the field, he did struggle a bit. They kind of utilized utilize TJ Hawkinson in a different way. His A-dot was higher, significantly higher, I believe 21% higher than it had ever been. So they were using him deep down the field. Really wasn't playing to TJ Hawkinson's strengths. Now we go into this season. I think we're going to see the best TJ Hawkinson we've seen, or at least close to what we saw in 2023 when he really broke out and had close to 1,000 receiving yards and 90-plus receptions here. I just love the spot for him. J.J. McCarthy at quarterback. No Jordan Addison. We know how much attention that Justin Jefferson commands. I really feel like T.J. Hawkinson is going to be that safety valve for him. He's going to get rid of the ball quickly here against this Bears defense. And I think T.J. Hawkinson is going to really benefit from that. Also, last season, the Bears were very generous to opposing tight ends. In addition to opposing tight ends, I also gave up a lot of big plays to tight ends. They gave up the 5th most yards to the position last year. I believe the 2nd most yards per reception to the position as well. So this one checks all the boxes for me, even with J.J. McCarthy being a bit of an unknown. I definitely think this is a strong matchup for T.J. Hawkinson, who I like to go over 41.5 receiving yards. I'm comfortable playing this all the way up to 44.5.
Absolutely love it. Mike McClure, you jumped into the chat. You mentioned it, and I love this angle, and I honestly don't think we talk about it enough, so I'm glad you chimed in here. You mentioned looking at Hawkinson if we end up seeing maybe a trailing game script from Minnesota early in the game. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you talk about JJ McCarthy potentially not having a great game. Again, I love JJ McCarthy. I really do. I think that they could have a slower conservative start and really unleash it out of necessity later in this game. If they get neutral or trailing, though, Hawkinson's the veteran guy, the shorter depth of target, potentially even, that it might be easier for McCarthy to get the ball out there than downfield to Justin Jefferson. So if you find the trailing game script, and what I'm looking at here is, like, say the line is at 41.5, we're sitting 3 minutes left in the second quarter. He's got 1 catch for 6 yards. I wouldn't panic at that point. I'd be hitting the live overs on 27.5, 26.5, wherever it's settled to. If we're talking about a situation where they're not leading the game, and that's the case, I would consider buying there, because we should see pretty good garbage time or desperation time. I wouldn't call it garbage time, desperation time out of Minnesota. And Hawkinson, to me, would be that guy.
I want to add something to that. And Matt, we're going to get your baseball picks in the home run model in just a second. But there's something that I really wanted to take last night, and I still might take it, but I need a little bit of clarity. And this pertains to JJ McCarthy, by the way, and our SportsLine pick, which we're about to give out, does as well. I need a little bit of clarity on Jalen Johnson and this defensive backfield for the Chicago Bears. I'm very concerned with a couple of guys who I think are going to play, including Jalen Johnson, but I would rather just wait. And the reason I say all of that is to say this. I really like JJ McCarthy's under passing and rushing 246.5. That's the number. I like the under. The true passing number is 223. And I'm willing to throw in the rushing there, because I do think JJ McCarthy is going to be mostly in the pocket here. But I just wanted to point that out, that once I get clarity, I might end up putting that pick up on SportsLine. But because I don't have that clarity quite yet, I just don't see the incentive to put that out. But that does lead to our SportsLine pick, which, Proppy, you're very familiar with, because Uncle Dave talked about this on the Prop Show again every Friday at 1 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. JJ McCarthy under 31.5 pass attempts, -110. That one courtesy of Dave Richard. Again, JJ McCarthy under 31.5 pass attempts at -110. We got more football to come, but let's check out our home run picks real quick. And Sniper, I want to get you involved here, because the SportsLine model inside the lines, top MLB home run plays are Juan Soto +280 versus +320, Manny Machado +285 versus +340, and Michael Busch +420 to +480. Sniper, 2 questions. Do you like these 3? And is there anybody else you might like tonight?
Well, Soto is a correlated play, so I can get to that in a second. Machado at home, I don't know. I don't love Machado as much. Bush in Atlanta, Bryce Elder. Yeah, I really like Bush and Soto there.
Okay. And we're going to get to your Major League Baseball play. And we're going to get to, I know there's already a ton of questions in the chat. I absolutely love it. Get those questions in there. This is the crew that can answer your Monday Night Football, your MLB questions. So keep them coming. We got to get to more MLB. We got to get to more NFL. I've got a golf outright you might be interested in for the Procore Championship. It used to be called the Fortinet, in case you're not familiar with that name. We're going to cover it all right after this message from our partners.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. And Sniper, we just talked about a few home runs. Let's talk about that, quote, correlated play. You've got something on Mets, Phillies, and on Seattle.
Yeah, we'll start in Citizens Bank Park there in Philadelphia. I'm going to go Mets, Phillies over 9. I know that's a little bit of a higher number here, but first of all, on the Phillies side, Aaron Nola on the hill. He is absolutely awful this year, 6.78 ERA. It's 8.38 since he came back from an extended injury absence. There's something wrong with him. I think the Mets are really going to have some comfortable at-bats against him tonight and knock the ball around the yard. On the other side, Nolan McClain, a lot of people might want to just play the Mets team total, something like that, because Nolan McClain is on the mound for the Mets, and his numbers are awesome right now. He's a rookie. Not that many teams are familiar with him. I kind of feel like maybe he's been too good so far, and he's due a little regression. He did dominate the Phillies on August 27th, and a lot of people might say, hey, look, he has the Phillies number. I like the quick turnaround here for the Phillies offense, and it makes me go back to the 2013 World Series, actually. Michael Wacha was a rookie for the Cardinals. He was great in his first start. Second start, the Red Sox knocked him around the series. After the game, I talked to several guys in the Red Sox lineup like Jacoby Ellsbury, Shane Victorino, and they said, look, if we've never seen a guy before and he has really good stuff, we don't know what we're doing up there. But we get a second look at him within the next couple days, which for the Phillies here, it's August 27th to September 8th. It's not that far of a turnaround. They said it's a much more comfortable at bat. It's better once you've seen the stuff in the batter's box. Video can't do justice until you've actually seen it. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. So I'm going to go over. I think both teams are going to score a decent number of runs. Also, we're going to go all the way out west to Seattle. I'm going to go Mariners on the run line here. It's around even money. Yeah, I got it at plus 100 there on SportsLine. Look, the Mariners looked like they were falling apart 2 games ago, but in the last 2 games, they won 10-2 and then 18-2. The bats are awake. Now they go back home where they are 41-27. They get, and I know Sia is going to love this one, they get Miles Mikolas of the Cardinals, who has a 6.79 ERA on the road. Love fading Miles Mikolas on the road. On the flip side, the Mariners have Brian Wu on the mound, who has a 2.35 home ERA. Love the Mariners on this one.
I'm sorry. Did you say Miles Mikolas is still pitching? I've been so distracted with NFL. I just assumed he retired in the middle of the season. No?
He's actually really good at home, but he's atrocious on the road. So we love getting him on the road here.
All right. I'm taking this bet too. Run line, even money on the Mariners and Mets Phillies over 9. Larry, before you give out, and we have so many questions and comments in the chat, before you give out your NFL play, let me give out just a couple of plays here. Procore Championship used to be called the Fortinet. I'm going to go just with an early outright. I'll probably only have 2 or 3 outrights here, mostly because I am using the without Scotty Scheffler market. So I'm kind of getting some of these odds shorter, at sort of depressed here. Cameron Young, who would be 22-1 in the regular market, he's 16-1 in the without Scotty Scheffler market. I'm not going to break down this play to you right now. I can just tell you that I think Cameron Young off the tee is going to have a really good time here, and somebody who can score, especially par 5 scoring, going to be important here. Cameron Young's my guy for that. Other guys that fit his profile, like Sam Burns, they're in the mix as well. But for now, I'm just settling on Cameron Young plus 1,600 without Scotty Scheffler. Here's the news, though. Everybody hit the like button for this crew because this is amazing. We got more show to go. But when we have tournaments during the fall swing, during NFL season, guess what? The Early Wedge comes back and they do a special Tuesday show at our regular Best Bets time at 7 o'clock. We haven't confirmed the cast yet, but it'll be Early Wedge cast members, of course. We're going to be doing a best bets type show, but we're going to incorporate the live chat that we used to do on Wednesdays, and which we will do when the season turns around again in January. But we're going to have this very inclusive show, if you will, with all elements of live chat and best bets, 7 o'clock tomorrow night for the Pro Course. So make sure you are dialed in. It's a perfect night to do it without NFL and things of that nature. Tuesdays, 7 o'clock during tournament weeks for the PGA tournament, for PGA tournament events. We will be doing that on this SportsLine YouTube channel. My next pick, We're going back to the Bears Vikings. We got so much more to talk about Bears Vikings on this show. I'm going with the first half under 21.5. You can take this at 20.5, probably at a much better price actually. But I really like this play because I don't think Caleb Williams is going to have the full complement of the Ben Johnson offense early. I think they're going to lean on DeAndre Swift like Ben Johnson likes to do and like he liked to do when DeAndre Swift was playing for Ben Johnson for the Detroit Lions. On the other side of the ball, it's J.J. McCarthy on the road in a division game. They leaned into the offensive line in the offseason. They leaned into the running game in the offseason, re-signing Aaron Jones and, of course, bringing in Jordan Mason. I think we're going to see a lot of running. I think we're going to see a lot of kid gloves early. I think we're going to see probably an overall game under, but I like the first half under a little bit better here at 21.5. And it's mostly because I think if we see a trailing game script in the second half from one of these teams, they could potentially open it up, which could have some scoring involved there, but also some turnovers, which could lead to some short fields on the other side of the ball. So give me Bears Vikings first half under 21.5 at -115. We go from one NFL bet to another. Larry Hartstein, I love these. Your tackles and assists props. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we hit the only one that we had yesterday in the fourth quarter. Let's hit this one a little bit earlier. Blake Cashman over 7.5 tackles and assists, juiced up to -142 at DK where I bet it. You can also find, if you have some outlier markets, you can find it a little cheaper. I would still play this at plus money over 8.5, not because he's a great story who grew up in Minnesota, played for the Gophers, and then has come back to Minnesota and is running the defense. This is the green dot, the signal caller, the captain of the defense. When he was out last year for 3 games, this defense basically fell apart. He is vital to that defense. I know Pace Jr. will get a lot of tackles. Metellus will also get a lot of tackles. But this is really a bet on Blake, who has hit this in his last 5 games, I should note, including 3 double-digit tackle efforts. But it's also a play on Ben Johnson. I think that Bears offense is going to stay on the field and have more success than they did last year. The Lions ran 66 plays per game, which was basically tied for first in the NFL with Washington because they were able to lead extended drives, keep the chains moving. And I think we're going to see enough of that from the Bears to give us the tackle opportunities that we need.
All right. Let's get to some Sniper. So you have been kind of going back and forth, I've noticed, talking Caleb Williams, but you were just laughing at something. Talk to me about what's going on in the chat.
I was just thinking I absolutely love Larry digging in on tackle and assist props. Yeah. That's amazing. That's really, really hardcore. So I have much respect, man.
The breakdowns that Larry, PropStarz Mike, and I'd like to say myself, give on these shows are I just think something you get here that you don't necessarily get in a lot of places. So hopefully you enjoy the personalities in the mix here, but also the analysis. We got a baseball question before we get to football questions. Sniper Nolaface says, Sniper, Shota Imanaga over 4.5 Ks, and then he gives a kind of a rationale, but I'll just skip that part. Go ahead.
Yeah, he only struck out 2 last week against the Braves, and they're getting another quick look at him. He gives up more fly balls than almost anybody, and that's a pretty ripe home run park there in Atlanta. So I do not love the strikeout prop, even with 4.5 seeing low for Imanaga. He just wasn't missing that many bats last time. He gives up so many fly balls. I don't like it.
Mike, there's a question from John. It's more of a macro question that I'm pretty sure your answer is going to be no based on what you've sort of told us before, but John's he's asking about same game teasers as opposed to parlays, which is interesting. But he says, do you like same game teasers in these divisional primetime games?
Not always. I would say in the past, there have been isolated incidents where I have liked them. When you think about what markets should be the most efficient, it should be a standalone primetime game that's been on the board all week, essentially. Yeah. So around key numbers, I don't mind it. Having said that, unfortunately, teasers are mostly gone at this point because of the price points, having to lay close to -135 to bet teasers anymore. Not going to be a profitable strategy. So for me, it would be a no. I would not be doing that.
Now, straight up teasers is one part of that question, but the corollary part, because Brasco brought this up and we brought this up on the show last week, is you can introduce alt lines at a price that you might like a little bit better. But are we kind of doing the same thing because the hold on those alt lines, Mike?
Generally, yes. There would maybe be some situations that I think it would make sense. And what I would recommend, which we've seen the industry change a lot over the last several years doing this, right? What I would recommend there, where it's truly a same game parlay where you have the ability to do it. If you have an interest in that, I would potentially be stacking any sort of player prop edge that you are confident you have an edge on to get that a little closer is what I would do. So it would be utilizing the alt lines and using one of those legs on a same game parlay to basically bring it a little closer on the EV.
Okay. Rick Funcannon wants to know, I don't know if we have actual answers to this, as many of us don't break down field goal kicker props, but Larry, I'm going to go to you anyway. Santos over 1.5 field goals at plus money, plus 107. Any thoughts there? I mean, I don't hate field goal props in this game in particular, personally.
Yeah, no, I don't hate it. I would say, though, we saw some pretty erratic kicking yesterday that came into play in several of the games, costing us a potential overtime. I mean, there were multiple games where the kickers were erratic, but I do like that. I think the Bears are going to move the ball. I think both teams are going to move the ball. I'm definitely leaning over at 43.5.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Younghoe Koo could have extended that Tampa game. And I know a lot of people had some fantasy interest, DFS interest in that game. And he barely made the field goal earlier in the game, a chip shot that I think went off the not the crossbar, but the upright. I don't know what's going on with him, but that game should have gone to overtime, which could have helped some of our props as well. That was kind of unfortunate. Proppy, I want to ask you what Ramo has about Kmet, but more the Bears receivers and pass catchers in general. He says, hey, team, thoughts on Kmet over 1.5 receptions? I don't know what to do with this Bears passing game because there's so many options. I obviously invested in the draft in Loveland and Luther Burden, but they've already got a lot of pass catchers. I'm a big Rome Odunze guy. I think he's actually going to have a great season, but I don't know that I'm willing to put my money on any of these pass catchers week one. What are your thoughts, Proppy?
Yeah, I would agree. I think outside of Rome Odunze and DJ Moore, it's going to be a pretty inconsistent target distribution. We look at the ancillary options for the Bears. They're very deep, as it's been mentioned, at wide receiver, at tight end. Obviously, you're spending a top 15 pick on Colston Loveland. You already have Cole Kmet, who's a above average pass catching tight end. So, I don't know where the targets will necessarily be kind of funneled to. I do think that DJ Moore and Rome Odunze will see the majority of them. So kind of guessing where those additional targets are going to go, I think, especially early in the season, will be pretty difficult.
Yeah, there's a bunch of questions on Kmet. Brent Hall has the 9.5 receiving yards on Cole Kmet as a question. So I guess same analysis there. Sniper, it's Adam says, how about it? This is for Ben too, our producer, Ben, of course. Chicago parlay, Cubs money line versus the Braves, plus Bears plus 3.5 is plus 188. Do you have any thoughts on the Cubs money line part of that, Sniper?
Yeah, I love it. Look, the pitching matchup, even though I said I don't love Imanaga tonight, I still think the Cubs are the better team here. So obviously they have something to play for. The Braves don't really at this point. I don't like Bryce Elder on the bump for the Braves. I think there's probably going to be a lot of scoring, but yeah, I would go with the Cubs on that. So I'm going to pass that along to my dad. He'll love playing that. I might have already done it though. So
it's a nice number. You're getting the Bears plus 3.5 there. I mean, I think that's, I don't think that's bad at all. Aaron Bailey says, shout out to my wife today. It's her birthday. Adrian is her name. And I can't read the bottom of, okay. Ben has it up for us. She lets me do all this betting with no complaints. I guess you have to, okay. Yeah. So a happy birthday to Adrian. Aaron Bailey, I know you're just a big part of this whole early edge team. We appreciate you being in the chat pretty much almost every day and supporting us wherever we are. Mike, I saw you typing away in the chat. We will close shop on this show in a second, but was there anything we needed to hear from a commenter here?
No, I just see people listing like same game parlays and things like that. My computer has the game a little tight on the totals, had the slightest of underleans. I personally think the game could shoot out. I think there's a lot. It's kind of mirrors my thoughts on Chicago pass catchers. I'm not touching any Chicago pass catchers before this game because I think it could look like some of Kansas City when you have no idea where Mahomes is going before they had Rashee Rice coming in. I think it could look like that for Chicago. So I'm staying off of their pass catchers in terms of props. And I think this game there's definitely scenarios where we could see offense just absolutely dominate.
Okay. Well, I obviously hope you're incorrect there, at least in the first half. Sniper, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that M Squared just compared Caleb Williams to Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
They were said in the same.
I don't think Caleb Williams is as bad as people want to make him out to be. I think that playing quarterback in the NFL is obviously one of the most difficult jobs you could possibly have. It's why we all scratch our heads at how can we not find 30 gentlemen able to go do it at a high level. Like, it's just that hard. I think Ben Johnson is extremely, extremely underrated.
Well, that's the thing. If you get the right offensive coordinator, the right coach, you can coach some of the bad, because we know Caleb has some bad habits that if he just gets out of those, and maybe to your point, Mike, gets rid of the ball quickly in a Ben Johnson offense, things could change rapidly. We saw that with, I mean, we talk about Bo Nix in the chat. I don't think Bo Nix is a great quarterback. I think Bo Nix is very average, but he does what Sean Payton wants him to do. And when you do that and you have a good offensive line and a good defense, your team can go far. So, I mean, I don't think anybody's comparing Bo Nix from a talent standpoint to Caleb Williams, because Caleb's probably more talented, but Bo Nix operating a system appropriately, and now Caleb Williams gets that opportunity. Larry, before we get to the recap screen, any final comments here?
Oh, I like what Brian M was saying, that they get Loveland a catch in the first quarter. I think they're going to use this guy. I mean, he's the first pick of the Ben Johnson era, number 10 overall. He's 6'6", he separates, he has great hands. They're going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets. He can block well, so he's going to be on the field. I cannot wait to see this guy play.
Before we get to the recap screen, there's one guy I want to discuss just real quick. Anybody have any comments on DeAndre Swift? His rushing attempt total, I believe, is 13.5. His combined yards are pretty high. I think it's in that upper 80, 90 range. PropStarz, go ahead, because I think DeAndre Swift's going to get a lot of work, partly because that backfield's a little banged up, and we know that there's trust there between Ben Johnson and DeAndre Swift from the Detroit administration. PropStarz, your thoughts on DeAndre tonight?
Yeah, I like DeAndre Swift. As far as a fantasy asset was concerned, heading into this season, just really not a lot of competition as far as the depth chart is concerned at running back. We've seen how successful Ben Johnson running backs have been. Obviously, there's familiarity there, as you mentioned previously, between them as well. And I think DeAndre Swift, the continuity is there for the Bears, and I think he's a little bit better than he maybe gets credit for. Certainly has some pass catching chops as well. Comfortable playing him on third down, pass protection. So he's going to be on the field quite a bit, and that's what you're looking for when we're dealing with props or fantasies. So I do like DeAndre Swift quite a bit.
Yeah, Chris Diorio says he likes his receiving props as well. I will say this, the Bears invested in their offensive line to a pretty large degree. So I would imagine they're going to be using DeAndre Swift in a pretty traditional role as well. And so hopefully that works out for them. I'm kind of hoping it does, because it'll chew clock and it'll lead to perhaps my under in the first half. All right, I think that'll do it for today. I thought we got to a lot of NFL and MLB stuff, sprinkled in a little bit of golf. I want to remind everybody on CBS Sports Network today, I think it's at 1 o'clock. No, it's at noon today. We've got every Monday at noon, it's a very, very intensive Monday Night Football discussion. It's really going to be a great show, but we saved look behind the curtain a little bit. The last block, otherwise known as the E block, we saved that for Tom Casale and Emery Hunt, because their group of 5 FCS picks have been extremely popular and extremely lights out. So we basically do Monday Night Football for 4 segments, and then we save the last block for some early looks at group of 5 FCS games. I'll tell you, people don't want to miss that, and we see it in the numbers. Everybody really loves that segment. You can see it on YouTube later on, but at Monday at noon, we will be on CBS Sports Network. You see the schedule here. Wednesday at noon and 1, and then Friday at 1. A lot of NFL and college football related stuff. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we get you all out of here. Procore Championship early outright Cameron Young. This is plus 1,600 in the without Scotty Scheffler market. Again, Cameron Young in the without Scotty Scheffler market at plus 1,600. I've also got Bears Vikings first half under at 21.5 at minus 115. Mike McClure, he likes the Bears plus 2, minus 112. Of course, he'll take it at plus 1.5 as well. Earlier in the show, he talked about alt lines. Blake Cashman over 7.5 tackles and assists. Minus 142, that one courtesy of Larry Hartstein. Sniper, we're going to MLB, Mets, Phillies, over 9, minus 1.5. And Mariners run line, even money. PropStarz, going back to the tight end position. TJ Hawkinson, over 41.5 receiving yards, minus 115. Don't forget about what Mike McClure said in terms of live betting those types of markets. JJ McCarthy, under 31.5 pass attempts, minus 110. That is from our Uncle Dave Richard. And then finally, we go right back to the MLB home run plays. Juan Soto, Manny Machado, Michael Busch. 35 minutes of bliss right there, ladies and gentlemen. That was an amazing show. A lot of good conversation. I will say The pick we rode with you all that you voted on, how funny is it that so many unders came in yesterday? But the one game that shot out was the game you all picked for a first half under, the Jets and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, Larry, just real quick, what are the odds? So many unders came in the prop market and in games in general. That game shoots out.
Well, I blame Ben, because Ben was the one who gave us those choices. And again, I'm not sure how those 4 choices came to be, but we're going to investigate that and we'll get a better community pick for next week. Sorry, Ben.
Investigation is underway. I also blame Ben. Ben, your response.
No, that's very fair. I'll be sure to scour the comments a little bit better and make some better picks. So I take full responsibility this week.
I will say that I said it twice on the Friday show that I liked that pick. So, I mean, I didn't think that was going to shoot out at all. And that's what happens sometimes in week 1. You'll get some surprises. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a great show. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Christian Hastings, KC3, Joseph Akers, Aaron Taylor, Paul, Liddy. Thank you so much for being in here, everybody, every day and hitting the like button. We're probably up to almost 200 likes. We got 500 people watching throughout the show. I'm just confirming that. Okay, almost. We're over 150. So that'll do it. Let's get to 200 next time. Ladies and gentlemen, great show. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, PropStarz, Mike McClure, Sniper, and of course, Ben on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. Stephen Cook says it all. He says, great show, guys. We'll do it again tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, for now, we rest our case.